All right, I am back. We've got our 10 Years of Growth, which is the name of this March 2023 kit. It is April 2nd. I've had family in town. My paper pumpkin came the day before they were going to arrive. And of course, they arrived very early in the morning, so I was still scrambling the day I picked this up to get ready for them. So I am just now getting to this. I don't know much about it, which is always fun. And I see a pot and a pretty, looks like a lily to me. Some leaves. We've got Happy Easter, Spring Anniversary to Call You Friend. And I had, right before I worked on this, I finished up 6 spring cards for my first round to try to get them mailed yesterday to get to my 6 core people before Easter, even though I did not end up making Easter cards. And now I have a little more time to make, I will make some more spring cards to send to the second round of folks. And I will be posting those 6 because they were made from last month's paper pumpkin. And then I'm probably looking at this kit. This is probably the bonus stamp set for the 10th birthday or 10th anniversary. And now I have the second stamp set. So it looks to me like I will be able to do some follow-up cards with this kit as well to send out. So this is the stamp set that comes with the kit. And it has To a Wonderful Mother, Here's to Another Year of Growth, To an Incredible Woman, Sending All Our Love, Mother's Day, You Deserve the Best, and another sprig. Our spot for the month is Polished Pink. I should put in a little bit of a plug. We have what's called a color refresh that probably would have occurred during COVID, but it was delayed. So that means that there's some shakeup for the next catalog that comes out in May. For colors, there are 11 either new or returning colors, and a couple of colors are going out, and colors are shifting from, say, the in colors into a color family. So expect a whole bunch of change there. I'll probably do a separate video on that after I do my pre-order and get those colors in stock to be able to share with you. And we have next month, I'm just reading, this next month is going to be all the little things. It looks like it is a nice stained glass looking effect. And next month's kit comes with a free box organizer for storing ink spots and other small crafting pieces. So for the anniversary, we have gold tissue, which of course I collect my tissue, so that's going to be a really nice color of tissue to add. I have to grab my box cutter. It is the same box cutter I have had now for the last 6 years. It's right here. In fact, it officially, oh no, it's got some, I still have some little pieces left. It has some life left in it still, but I don't use it all that often. I have a different box knife now in the house over by the front door for opening our packages, mostly from Amazon and Stampin' Up. So we have got some mini dimensionals and double-sided adhesive dots. The envelopes from here look to be all the same, and in this case, very rarely do they do this, only the lids are lids. The flaps are colored. So if I wanted to make any strips, I could cut off these flaps, but I will probably save these to be used. And let's see what we have. It's like a shelf with books and pots and plants. Oh, and we do vary. Okay, so we've got 3 windows, 3 bookshelves, and it's all white based. Some 3D die cuts of pots and labels. Oh, some big labels. It's very pretty colors. And then a nice dotted gold. There's gold on a lot of these elements. And then some gold on leaves and pots. We have 3 sheets of these. Here's some, I'm going to guess mint macaron. Coastal Cabana? It looks more mint macaron to me. So we've got some leaves that I will be cutting out. And then we have 1 set of Happy on a very thick, so thick, gold foil. So I'm going to pick that, for that color. Oh, it is Coastal Cabana. So this right here is Coastal Cabana. And we've got 9 cards, 9 envelopes. So we saw that already. Coastal Cabana, Crumb Cake, Fresh Freesia Garden Green, Orchid Oasis, Polished Pink, Shaded Spruce, and Gold Foil. So again, as always, I will not be making the instructions versions of these cards. I will go right into researching my options for alternatives with 2 stamp sets and the supplies that I saw. I will probably not have to bring too much to the table. Of course, embossing folders come to mind right away, as well as I'm thinking for a set. I probably don't need any stamps. Just some various cardstock, solid cardstock to extend what we have here. And that's probably going to be it. But of course, I will pop back in with any of the prep goodies as well as added supplies that I come up with. And then I will get right into mixing and matching the backgrounds with my focal layers, finishing it off with a showcase that, of course, I will strive for 20 or more layouts for you guys to be inspired by. So stay tuned. All right, I am back. I have some supplies to share with you that I pulled from my inventory. And as I was pulling, usually if I'm going to do dies, I'll just do I'll pick a die set and stick with that. But because there are so many varieties of directions you can go on this, I thought I would pull everything that came to mind for using the pots to make plants. So I have some pots to share with you, as well as a whole bunch of different plants from a giant stack. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 stamp sets to share with you specifically for their dies. And I'm going to go pretty quickly because I don't want to bore you, but my point I am trying to make is that go look deep into all of your sets and just take a look at the dies and just see. You can do partials, which you'll see pretty much any kind of plants can be turned into potted plants is what I'm getting at. So before I show you the plants, I did pull Festive Pearls and the 2022 to 2024 in color decorative dots for the colors that have to match this palette. So any gold will do, any shaded spruce, Starry Sky, Orchid Oasis, and Fresh Freesia, as well as even some, I used some soft succulent. So I am going to use this for the demo purposes. The first set, Blessings of Home. This little pink dot means it is retiring. Every single one of these sets is retiring. A few of them are on sale, the 60%, up to 60% off. Grab them before they're gone. Sale started today. So this is my plug for you to maybe consider some of these wonderful floral sets. So I think the winner overall for the flower category is Blessings of Home, because look at all of these very small little floral elements. Pretty much all of them fit the size of pot that we are given. I would say maybe this long one not, but even part of this could be used. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are just the flowers, which I did pull out and die cut. So I did 4 die cuts so you could see the various shapes. And again, this is the Blessings of Home bundle and the Flowers of Home dies. I am going to leave these sitting out because I don't have a pot. Actually, I do have a small pot. This particular giant window, I think, works better with maybe a big pot and a little pot. But if you just take any one of these sprigs, or I did a silver, though this is gold, I wanted to show that mixing the metals works nicely. So even those 2 sprigs all by themselves would work great. But then if you want to add some flowers, just a couple, that is what the Blessings of Home sprigs look like. I plan to, when we're all done, because I cut flowers from all 9 of these stamp sets, and 2 of them have pots, so I've got pots from both of those. I will be using these to create my mix and match options. All right, Cottage Rose is next. It has a much larger set of flowers and a lot of outline versus silhouette flowers. I have not popped out all of the pieces because I wanted you to be able to see them. I went ahead and cut this particular floral element, which is a solid, comes from this huge part. You can just cut little pieces from a portion of this large die. And I cut this big flower. I did not do the single flower, though it would work as an option as well. I'm going to dig for a larger pot to show what these look like. So I think that Cottage Rose would make a very nice gold, like a white and gold clean. And Heavenly Hollyhocks is next. By the way, these are in alphabetical order. That's the order I put them in. So that's how I'm going to use them to do the demo. And I picked this very large and just did the tops. But you'll see there is the small sprig solo. There are some nice outline flowers. And then there are 3 solid flowers that coordinate, and you can layer them if you want. I have actually another set that I did the full layering. So here are 3 solid flowers, which is a similar die to the Blessings of Home 3 flowers. But for this particular one, you've got the solid, and then you can do the cute little outlines, again a lighter color for the front. And then you can put little dotted gems in the middle of the 3. And they are individual flowers, so after you build them up with 3 individual pieces, then you can lay them out in your floral arrangement. There's even this really cute little sprig. So this is a good one, though its arrangements are all very long and narrow. Turning these over. I need to get to one that has a sample of pots in it. This one is the Honeybee Home. Again, all of these are retiring at the end of the month. Here is a big pot. So this is one of the pots that comes with the set. I have used, this it looks like a tiger lily, I think. So like this would be a very sweet Mother's Day floral arrangement to use, or Easter, which is coming up next weekend. I barely got some of my Easter cards off in time. The rest of my cards are going to be spring cards. Have a grass. A nice grass that I went ahead and cut with shaded spruce. From the Honeybee Home. And then I have a taller sprig that I cut in gold. I'm having a hard time picking these up. I quickly, when I was starting to cut the dies out, I started to get confused, so I had to put them all in their box, and that's why, if you're wondering why they're in their boxes, it's so I can correctly tell you which set cuts which type of flower. So there's the very tall one that makes kind of a wildflower look. And now that we finally have some pots, I'm going to do a couple of layouts for you. All right, so I already did this one with the silver, and I think I'm going to go ahead and you can do a nice big flower with a small flower. These are all from the same set. This is the Cottage Rose look. I haven't even started on the sentiments, but I will share with you the shapes that we have to work with. So we've got a large fishtail, a long rectangle with the angled edges, and then a small rectangle. And the stamp sets, here's 4 that go on the large rectangle. So I would say you could either do black, in this case of the gold and white, or you could do gold heat embossing, which is probably what I would do. And then there's the Simply Elegant gold and silver cording that I think I have really close by. Oh yeah, I see it. It's right here. My gold. This is a remnant piece from the end of a roll. And then I have another roll. Now the Simply Elegant trim that comes in a combo with silver and gold is carrying over to next year's annual catalog. And then the silver, which I haven't used as much of, I have packaged with just the tail sticking out. This is a tip from my upline Libby. She gave me some of these long plastic baggies. And this cording is just wildly out of control all the time. So if you can keep it in a tall baggie, you can just pull the end and cut off what you need. So that's your tip for this cord. And this would be the fun cord. You can make knots, you can make bows. It's very much shaped so it's not soft. It feels somewhat rigid in the shape that it makes, so it makes a nice, very easy loopy bow. And then we have the birthday stamp set that has these small words that fit on this long rectangle or the short rectangle. And I'm not going to be doing anything with these large stamps today because I am focusing on the die cut flowers is what I'm going to use for all of the samples that I make. I may go back and do some simple stamping with these, so you might see at the end in the showcase some simple stamping, but because I'm doing so many die cut examples of the flowers and the arrangements that you can make with them, I am going to skip that step. I don't always do it anyway. I probably do it every third or fourth alternative where I stamp real time so you can watch. Other times I'll just stamp some samples and toss them in the showcase at the end. Okay, so there's one finished look. Just envision that a gold embossed text. You could add in more if you wanted some layers. You could do some vellum. I haven't hit my vellum flower elements, but see, it looks nice. Even if you layer them on top of each other, you can pop up the pots, pop up the sentiment. Notice I left all of these elements in place. You could try popping them out. I feel for the look I'm after, leaving them in was the best for me, though you can see one did escape, so I'm okay if a couple pop out here and there while I'm doing my assembly work. But I do like the more solid gold, and this is brushed foil. Any foil will work. I'm focusing on gold, but I think gold or silver would work very nice. I already showed you the little pot with this silver sprig with the more colorful option. All right, so now I have these pots out so I can build more samples. Let's take the Honeybee Home type floral arrangement. This is the one that looks very Mother's Day-esque to me. And you could cut more of these if you wanted to make it fluffier. You could even do a couple with vellum. This I would probably, for the small pot, of course, cut off and just use like the top portion of it. So hopefully you can see that. For my photography that I'm going to do, I will probably cut this off. I maybe will take some photos of it full height and then trim it down and do some half height ones. So let me know your thoughts. If there's any other sets I'm missing when I get through with the 9 that you think also would work. There's the desert stamp set. I did pull out the succulents stamp set. You'll see that in a minute. I tried to be pretty thorough in my coverage. I'm thinking, what does this grass look like? You would have to coordinate, so let's go ahead and do a little brighter colored one using that grass. By the way, the floral element here that has, you might see the lines, those lines are because I am using the special paper. I'm going to show it to you here. I have used it in green and white. Oh, this is the smooth, sorry. That is shaded spruce cardstock. This is the mini corrugated. I will have this on the supplies list. I'm not sure if it is retiring or not. Let me check really quick. I've got everything open here. This is called Textured Shimmer Paper. It comes in Shaded Spruce, Balmy Blue, and White, which is why I bought it, because I love all three colors very much. And it is in the next annual catalog. So this is carrying over. Here is the white. I used it to cut a pot. And I did all of the lines horizontal to match the existing pot's horizontal art. Okay, Nature's Prints. Nature's Prints has a wreath. It has a long, spiny, pointy branch, as well as a very short, rounded leaf. And I did not get into, I did a silver and a gold. So, here is an example with the gold. And here is an example with the silver. Envisioning another sentiment, like I said, up here. You could also try a sentiment popped up over the large pot. It's funny doing this because in our house we came with nothing, so I have been trying to get from our garbage collection area that has recycling. Next to the recycling bin, people will put things of value that they feel aren't really throwawayable, and I have gotten some really nice pots. And then there's even a huge area for plantings and yard waste, and if somebody is throwing away a plant that includes the roots or pieces of plants that have grown too big, they'll put them at the front, and I have some really good plants. So I am very grateful for this community because I have really gotten a lot of great things from that section of our garbage area. So there's another way you can put together some pops of color. And I'm going to tuck that in there. So just little pops of the green only. I do have, so pretty much the two tall sprigs. So Nature's Prints wasn't as interesting. Like I said, I did not, there's this giant wreath that if it's all you had, I think you could very easily trim apart different sections of this and get a nice large pot arrangement as well as a small pot arrangement. And that's kind of where I'm getting at. Even with whatever stamp set you have, there is probably a label or two that you could incorporate. I have pulled from one of the sets this particular label. You'll see this label in Nature's Prints. So pretty much whatever floral-y stamp set you have, if you have the dies for it, I bet you can look carefully and kind of think outside the box, and you will be able to come up with your own different sets of sprigs. So that was Nature's Prints. I have finished with 5 now. I have 4 left. Nature's Harvest has been around for a couple of years. It has very large floral elements, including a lovely branch. I would think you could do the branch in brown and have it be on a layer behind the large pot, but I have seen the tall wheat-like grasses used on vellum, so I went ahead and cut the vellum. So now I'm adding yet another bit of depth here to the large pot. I think that's looking great. And again, here's some labels. I'm not sure if there are any sentiments as long as this long one, but this short label would work very nicely for some of the sentiments that come with this set. Potted geraniums. Now we're getting into a set that includes the pot. So, see, and here's my problem. I pulled this out, which I shouldn't have, because now I have to figure out which of the 9 sets I pulled this from. So I will be looking that up very quickly. And then, of course, this one I didn't put away, so I was trying to keep everything together. I am going to stop and put this because it lives with Honeybee Home. So let's put it away. Trying to keep things organized. Yep, that's with Honeybee Home. All right, I've got potted geraniums, which I got on sale, and I have to say, I like the dies. I haven't played with them much. In this case, I have a pot. The pot has two parts, so the band actually is a separate piece, so you can pop it up. And then there's this double floral die that I believe cuts out the stamped image, but I went ahead and just used it with some Orchid Oasis, then Starry Sky for the back. And I think that the pots, I'm not thinking that these larger floral elements will work, but these two I think are great. And here's a very cute little tag. You could put a hello in there if you have a small stamp with a hello. So now for this particular one, I'm going to get the bookshelf. This is the big window display with the gold, and a lot of my pieces work well on the window display, but I want to come over here and show you that you can have, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I am sure it is okay to pop in a pot, this being a little bit on the big side, and same with the white one that comes with it is a little on the big side. But once you add this floral element to it, it is just so sweet. And then you can take any of these smaller labels. I don't think I would take this larger label or even this large beaded label. I suppose it would look okay if you were very careful, and it could go in this front quadrant bottom. And I think that you could get away with that. You could then add like a gold bow right here. So maybe I will play around with this particular label since I need to figure out where its home is anyway. I will go ahead and put that in the showcase with one of my little layouts that I'm going to do. Again, I think that this will distract too much. I mean, that's okay. Let's take away our pretty white shimmer pot and put the oval matte pot. And then let's just say we want to put a large sentiment there. That's all right, I think. And then I would put the gold if I didn't want to use the corded, which is really hard to do a wraparound. There is baker's twine that I've gotten that's the metal wrapped baker's twine that Stampin' Up! Doesn't have this year in any form. And so that's soft enough that you can do a wraparound where this cord is very hard to do any wrapping with, but you can certainly make a bow and put a gold bow somewhere here in this quadrant. And then here's where I think that the gold festive dots would look very nice arranged on this bookcase. Before I leave this particular floral arrangement, which again is from Potted Geraniums now, I have the gold dots. Another die that I haven't got out yet is if you really wanted to go all out and you like the dotted look, there's the spots and dots die that is carrying over, that you could go ahead and put a sheet of gold foil behind the dots, the holes of the dots, and then put happy in front with a gold heat embossed sentiment on one of these tags, or on, again, this fancier, I had this out initially just to show you that if you wanted to dress up your labels, you could easily get one of the labels that is from one of these 9 stamp sets. So let's go back to this full. I left this one full size. You can see that on the bookcase I trimmed it down so that it can have a mat and I want to share with you. Let's just grab something I have real close by, which is a fresh freesia leftover mat. And let's get some color in here. But I really love how clean this particular set is going to look when you make your cards. All of them are going to have a very nice clean and crisp look. So I think that looks fabulous. Here's the smaller sentiment that I think could go, it can go ahead and overlap elements. Like I think right here is a perfect place for a very small text sentiment to go. Here's you deserve the best. And then on here we've got, it says to call you friend because it goes with the word happy. To call you friend. There's probably other happies that might, I was even thinking that it would be fun to stamp in one of these fun colors the word happy up here, and then to call you friend down below. It popped up, would be lovely. And now let's go take this over to here. And now if we want a happy Mother's Day, here's the Mother's Day. You get 3 huge happies in that really thick gold. I mean, it is like really fat. I don't even know how fat it is. It almost feels like a piece of plastic. It's so fat. But I would do Happy Mother's Day. I would have this little potted plant, so cute. And then a gold bow. And just keep it pretty simple. And then add maybe the brushed larger metallic dots, which are carrying over. So I have those sitting here. These are carrying over. They're a more substantial size. There's some gold sequins that you can put on here. You could decide to make a floral little arrangement, and if we did something just really small here, I was even thinking, you know, if I'm going ahead and I can die cut as many pots as I want, depending on how many cards you need to make, you could make a nice 3-up, like a little windowsill. If you wanted to get super fancy, you could go ahead and do a gold piece of gold foil that these are sitting on toward the bottom here. And I need more colors. I'm gonna dig ahead here and just use one piece. So there you can see how cute that would look. And if you wanted to add a couple of these flowers, it's almost like a layering project. I really love die layering cards, so this would be really cute. And at this point, you're digging into your own cardstocks, and I haven't even brought out, I have in the box all set out for me, all of these bigger die cuts. So there's also some colored pots. Let me grab a couple of these. I hadn't intended on doing the kind of mix and match portion, but I know that this is going to take long enough that I should probably go ahead and have this be incorporated into that mix and match section, which is usually the very last after I do supplies. So let's just consider we're slightly moving. I still have a few stamp sets left. I'm on the potted geraniums now, and then I have 2 more. So we're making good time. So here we have this wonderful arrangement. I hope I will remember this one. Let's say we just pop this out and add a pretty pot. And you can see how nice these cards will come out. With just a little bit of creativity and some die cuts and some careful arranging, you will be able to make some really lovely cards. For me, this one right here would be a happy spring. Over here, let's just say, this is kind of big if you ask me. This might be better over here. So we've already got this one started, and I was kind of building on this. Let's say we've got some room for some other sprigs to just sneak in. Oh, and they're not sneaking in very nicely, are they? This fern actually has very dainty gold dots on it. So if I want to sneak this in here, I have to, it's grabbing everything. So there you go. Very nice. So I can take away this sprig, vellum sprig, but adding in a piece of the provided greenery really dresses that one up nice. I think there's also this very large piece that when you end up cutting all of your cards apart, you're going to have all of the backs. The backs are going to be the nice, cool white. So you can start an arrangement here with white pots, and or have it above and have the happy lay on it. Here's another happy because I have 3 of them. I did try to take the negative of the happy, the dropouts, and see if I could fit it on a card, but sadly it was too big. There still, you could use die cuts to cut out like little hearts or little stars, perhaps even little flowers, but it's all the cutout after I popped them out. It's just too big to fit on a card unless you go with like a 5x7. All right, so this is like one example of something fun that you can do, and you could even have that down low and a sprig. If you didn't want a pot, you don't even have to have a pot at this point. For this type of an arrangement, you can just add a couple of different sprigs. There's some really bright purple ones. And there's even these coastal cabana sprigs. So there's just all sorts of colors going on, should you want a colorful option. And don't forget your embossing folders. I have a pot that I want to share with you up next that is a special treatment, but in general, this white that you're going to have a whole bunch of pieces. Since this was 9 cards, you have 9 backs to make 9 more cards. You can emboss these. You can even do some heat embossing. And then you can also do the dots and spots. So here is another type of a layout that I will get some photography in at the end. And I love that pot. So I think there's lots of options here. You just kind of have to mix and match, grab what you've got, take your large floral die cuts and look for opportunities to trim them down. There's the artistically inked. I did not bring that out. I had used it recently on a project where I had cut out pieces of it. So that one comes to mind, and I didn't even grab that one. And that is also retiring this year. So moving on, I'm going to leave these off to the side so I can remember some photography to do. And then I am going to bring on Simply Succulents, because Simply Succulents also has a pot, and how I decided to treat this pot to give it some texture. Again, sticking with a clean and simple, though you can see that you could make these two. This is a fresh freesia pot. There's actually 2 of them stuck together. And an Orchid Oasis pot that you could cut either of the two pots, the pot from Potted Geraniums or the pot from here, which doesn't have a band. And then you can color it, you can print it in a cardstock, and you can run it through an embossing folder. The one that I thought was best for what I was going for was Time Worn Type, which is carrying over, and it has areas on it of bumps. Not all of it has words. So you can find an area on here that has the texture that you're after. I mean, I can look really carefully and maybe see some words intermixed with the dots, but overall it's just a bumpy clay pot with texture. So any of your embossing folders that kind of have distressing to them, this one's a great one for that. If you have retired embossing folders, I was even toying with the hammered metal embossing folder. I did not use it, but you could. And then the other really cool strength of this particular set is the 4 labels that all will work very nicely with this set, with the dotted treatment on them, and then the 2 plant dies that could very easily be a 3rd one, because this is a succulent that will set in front on the pot. Being in Florida now, I have learned all about succulents, and so I have recovered, like this is like an aloe vera type plant, and I've got some of that growing in a pot. I have some succulents growing, and then these beaded looking succulents I have found are very hard, and I already killed one. So these make very nice either for vellum, or this is soft succulent, and then I already had this one over here on this particular arrangement. So if you don't want the florally look, but you like the look of like a succulent or a more clean, non-flowery looking plant, you can do everything with these soft, simply succulents. That's what I am trying to say. And don't forget your vellum. I wanted to cut some in vellum so you could see that vellum is just a nice loose texture, giving the hint of more depth. Let's take these flowers out. And since I wanted to show off this very fun pot that I've made, let's add a little vellum to each of them. And then I need a very small, low profile. So you can just pretty much mix and match to your heart's content until you find that perfect combination to make the scene exactly what you want it to be. And finally, oops, I hope I haven't done too much of that too low. The last set is Wisteria Wishes, which I have had really good success turning these upside down to make them into trees. So I grabbed this and thought, what about making, if we pull over our big picture window, and I suppose it would work fine with the happy as well. And I take away this wonderful arrangement, but I'm going to keep it together to remind me that I want to take pictures with it. I'll use this pot I'm going to keep the silver on here just for fun. And I just did We have the thicker version of the wisteria that's supposed to be layered with the thinner part on top. And either of them work very nicely to make a nice tall arrangement. And then we have a short one here. And then you have your sentiment up behind and put a bow on here somewhere. And that is the conclusion of the most creative way I can think to use this particular paper pumpkin set. Like I said, I haven't even stamped any sentiments. The color that we got to work with is actually polished pink, not fresh freesia. Though these pieces are fresh freesia. If you see what the color of the cardstock is. So I'm going to go away now, and I am going to stamp up some sentiments. I'm going to do some photography, and then I believe I'm going to call it here. You guys let me know what you think of this kit. It is very unique. It's florally, which I love, but in a little bit different way than we've used in the past. I love the idea of the pots. I like the clean and simple cards. I'm not sure if I will do any color on color. I might keep with white bases since we have 18 white bases to work with once you cut your card in half. Remember that the envelope has the same flap decoration. I believe the envelope is at the bottom of my box. Here they are. I want to show you because you could. I'm going to use the envelopes as they are. Here's like the polished pink versus the fresh freesia. Very fun. I love these bright colors. So if you wanted to sacrifice an envelope to get more of these big swaths of color, this is what you've got to work with. No colors on the inside. So I will be using the envelopes as envelopes. Please leave your comments. I love to hear from you. I will be working through my normal routine. I owe you guys either an extended or 2 episodes of Winter is Coming Wednesday because I missed the February Winter is Coming Wednesday by 1 day. And then in March I had company. So, by the way, my parents love it here in Florida. They had not been on a vacation in 30 years, so they had a ball and made the most of it. So, oh, don't forget that you can also, I'm trying to think of all my little notes, you can turn the pot inside out. If you don't want it bumpy on the back, the bumps go the opposite, just to add different texture. You can sponge on this. I like the white, so I didn't actually feel inclined to sponge, though I often do use sponging. So if you want to add more color to the pots, you can always do some sponging with a dauber or a blending brush. I think that's all I've got. If I think of something that I missed that was critical, I will pop in and let you know. If not, I hope you all are enjoying these paper pumpkins and that you have a great time with this special birthday 10th anniversary one called 10 Years of Growth. Be sure to do all of the YouTube things, like, share, and subscribe so you get notified of all of my videos that I do. And I do these alternative videos every month, and I always try to inspire you. And at the end, I have a showcase that shows layouts of at least 20 options, which is now what I'm going to run off to do. As always, thanks for watching.